sit on a stage with someone that you're mates with, I must say. And I've known Nigel. When did you meet Nigel?
I can't actually remember where we met, but we've known each other for a long time.
There's been some good gritty conversations and a few good bottles of wine, let's put it that way. So we're going to kind of canter through and try and have a bit more of a brutal conversation, get a bit deeper than the high level that you often hear from these kind of things. So that's our attempt. That's going to be my job. If Nigel gives me vacuous answers, then we're going to kind of bash him over the head, quite literally. But let's just start with, for those of you that don't know Railsr, background, where you guys are in the journey.
Sure. Railsr is the third fintech I founded, and we're on a journey to becoming the sort of de facto embedded finance platform. We're live in UK, Europe, Singapore, Australia, and North America. What we do is enable any customer to embed financial experiences in their customer journey, whether it's wallets, banking, cards, credit, rewards. And so they can use finance as a strategic tool for engaging customers, engaging fans, and generating revenue off those fans and those customers as well. So it's taking finance to very much a different level. So even retailers don't have to have a loyalty program which costs a huge amount of funding. They have a very simple, well-priced loyalty program and also make revenues on the back of it as well.
So, quick fire, number of rounds, number of people, number of countries you're in, number of customers, so that we have a bit of context.
Yeah, 300 customers, 6.5 million consumers. Countries, we're live in UK, Europe, North America, Singapore, and Australia. Didn't get the other one.
Number of rounds that you've raised.
Number of rounds. We've raised, just closed our Series C. So I generally don't look at rounds as A, B, C, D, and E. It's more looking at what does the company next need and what goals to achieve and what funding do we need to achieve those goals.
And this is not your first rodeo, is it, Nigel?
No. The first company founded is in 1996. When I'm old enough to remember when the internet appeared, and we had browsers like Mosaic. It was highly exciting just to get text. There was no real imagery on everything at the time, and so that company helped capital markets companies like Goldman, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, Swiss Bank, or UBS as it is today, take this thing called the internet and start distributing their institutional product over that, so equities, FX, etc. We sold that eventually to BAE Systems, which is a FTSE 100 big sort of technology conglomerate. In 2007, founded Currency Cloud, which is a global foreign exchange and cross-border payments platform, and that we sold to Visa, or was sold to Visa in last year, 2021.
Awesome. So everyone knows who Nigel is, context. We were talking about being big picture and needing to know the why. So now we can get into a bit more of the kind of gritty conversation. So one of the things which I always think is really interesting about SaaStock is the fact that you have bootstrap people like me who are kind of sharing a room with VC-backed people like you who are, flying to Monaco tomorrow or whatever you're doing. So you have this kind of real difference in the way that people are kind of running their businesses, but I think obviously bound by efficiency and wanting to do the right things in the right order and things like that. So we were looking at the 1977 values of Nike, and one of them, which is number 7, is live off the land. And that made me kind of think of the area I was most interested to ask you about, because we don't have long. And that is VC results from Patrick Campbell's presentation yesterday. VC-backed companies generally grow faster, so that velocity of top line is greater. But what is the cost of that? So, what are the really tangible examples that you've seen, maybe 1 to 3, of decisions that are made either in the wrong order, or you're pushed to go too fast, or you kind of now sit back and think, as we all do all the time, I wish I had done that differently. I wish I'd approached that in a different way. So that's kind of the general topic that I think is really interesting, that efficiency of growth.
Sure, going back to those Nike things, I encourage everybody to look at them. It's and Amazon a very similar thing called the leadership principles, and they're really beautifully written. They're very simple, and they're very clear about how to give direction to people in the company. And then the Nike ones are very brutal. I quite like those. And they're literally on an old typewriter piece of paper before sort of word processors and stuff. So first company was bootstrapped. We didn't have any investment. Currency Cloud and Railsr both been VC backed. There's different decisioning you make whether you're bootstrapped or VC. Because the bootstrapped one, the decisions we used to go through with my three co-founders was how much money do we put back in the business or we take out in the back of our pocket. And so that's the sort of the type of thing. So it's a very much a reinvestment for growth, and we're lucky to be profitable from year one on that business. And so and then if you really want to scale, because the market is ready for scaling, that is where, for example, VC-backed companies, it's useful to get capital available to you that you might not be generating in revenue to be able to scale faster. It has different consequences as well. So the Uber scaling, one of the biggest issues we faced, and I've made mistakes in this way, is making sure the operational side of the business keeps up with the customer side and the product side, and be able to operate everything and things. And that is highly important, because you can lose sense of one for going for the other. And operations after the fact are quite hard to fix once the machine's running.
What do you think are the areas that people mostly underestimate? I have a view, so I'll come in.
In a regulated business, it's all about making sure all the processes for moving money are absolutely clear and not run off spreadsheets. Also, if you have to safeguard customer funds, it's best all that maths and everything is embedded in the product rather than spreadsheets, because accounting platforms don't have that facility. It's ensuring that, especially all the processes for corner cases, which happens in the cards world, where you're doing refunds, you're doing failed payments, and then making sure those work correctly. You're receiving money back for bizarre reasons. There's a whole load of them that can happen. You're able to handle those corner cases without everything becoming spreadsheets and manual. So all those operational pieces, because once you do one of them, it's okay. When you do 1,000 of them, it becomes very expensive. And one of the things we learned when we acquired the assets of Wirecard, that German payments company that went bust, we bought the UK assets, was some of the card programs were being shut down because the program manager had gone bust. And therefore they had, say, 10,000, 5,000 consumers, EasyJet was one of them, for example, that suddenly money had to be returned to them, and the program manager didn't have all the data on the people that had needed money returning to, especially the identity data. So it became our problem to sort all that out.
So one stage is kind of keeping up the operational side of the business with the discipline and rigor that you would expect to as the kind of basically sales engine was. But I want to get to my favorite topic, which is that someone once told me the quote, and I'm not saying I necessarily believe in this, but maybe I also do, which is people, they fuck everything up and they make everything happen.
No,
so the people topic, which you've nicely avoided by talking about payments, we're going to come back to the people topic, which is like, what exactly, like, what about the decisions of we've got to hire, like I see these companies and we get asked by investors, come in and look at this company, and it's like, well, they've like hired 100 people in, you know, a month. If you hired 100 people in a month, do you think that your standards are as like high? Do you think that you go through an Amazon process of hiring? Do you think that you're as brutal? And then that mediocrity basically just seeps into the operating model of the company.
Yes, so it's very good. We've suffered from that considerably because we were scaling up, first year 270%, 200% or so. And one of the things we've been learning, which actually very thanks to Jonathan Staunton's in the audience and my AWS colleagues who are in the audience some as well, was we sat down with the Amazon team and they were going through well, this is how we do it, and we do this at scale. Which you've got somebody called the bar raiser, who's an independent person who comes in, the way they collect the data on the interviewing, and the way they do everything off the leadership principles, which is coming back to the original thing. So we have gone back into that method of making sure, are they aligned with the core values of the company? We don't use agents anymore. We spent a ton of money stupidly on agents. And I would, if on reflection, I prefer to scale slower, getting the right people. Because, as you say, my original mentor was a guy called Sir Robert Malpass, who was on the board of BP, chairman of Eurotunnel, board of ICI Chemicals, a real British industrialist. He's about 92 years old. He gave me exactly the same comment, word for word, you just said there, which is people make everything happen and people fuck everything up. So yes, on reflection, I should have just gone back to that comment he made to me in 1998.
Yeah.
So
it's like this circular loop of learning. I don't know if anyone else feels that. It's like, I know that I shouldn't do this, but yet again I'm doing it, which is slightly annoying. And is there anyone that you think you deprioritized as a role, like you did rush into it, or you didn't spend as much time and effort on the importance that would bring, and actually you'd either hire them sooner, or you'd kind of spend a lot more time trying to get that kind of right fit?
Sure, I think the role which I should have hired a lot sooner, as in 18 months ago, was a world-class COO, because my expertise is very much about customer, product, that stuff I enjoy. I don't really enjoy the operational side of it, because that's just not my thing. The head of people said to me when we were talking about the strategy, and our chief people officer, sorry, Jenny was saying to me, you look excited when you're talking about customers, and you look excited when you're talking about products and where the market's going. You look really glum when you're talking about strategy for operations, which I don't mean to be, but I just came across that way. And I should have made that hire a lot, as in before we even started scaling, and just got the checkbook out to get a really world-class person there.
Yeah, I see a lot of people feeling the pressure to be amazing at everything. And as we were talking about I started my career at Mars, which the training is really, really remarkable. And I was there for 8 years. And I was saying strength-based leadership, all surround yourself, leverage your strengths. And then, as we were saying, Nigel is definitely a logician. So an INTP, I've decided that's what he is. Sorry, you don't have a name anymore, Nigel, you're the logician. But obviously very inspired by curiosity and big picture. We have 3 minutes left. How did that go? Crazy.
That was quick, yeah. Just back to Mars. That was, when I was at university, which is a long time ago, that was the #1 place that people wanted to go to get on the graduate training program. It was that and BP. Those are the two that everybody, the top people went, and I didn't obviously go
now
there.
People are like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, look at my grey hair, it's fine. I've got not as much as you, but I'm trying. So we have 3 minutes left, so I'm going to end with 3 punchy questions. And I would like as close to a one-word answer as possible. The first is, you can only have one metric for the future of Railsr. And you can't look at anything else but one metric. What would it be?
ARR.
There you go.
Sorry, just to qualify that. ARR billings, which is the actual money coming in, as opposed to the booking side, which is contracted, just to be qualified.
Very good. I would like your prediction on the C-suite role that will be obsolete in 3 years.
None.
Oh, what a cop-out.
No, I don't think. I think they're all important. I think the relative change of importance is there. So, say a bank for a C-suite role. At the moment, the reason a lot of the banks and financial services organizations don't do tech particularly well, or try to be tech companies, but they're not the banks, They do banking extremely well, and with a few caveats like Lehman's and stuff. But they don't do tech because they just don't have real tech people on the board.
Yeah.
And that shows and reflects all the way down. They don't get the real thinking within it. Then you get too much tech and not enough banking, and then you got a different situation. But I think the roles will change depending on, in my area, fintech. I think the boards will start changing to get a lot more tech-enabled people.
Do you think there will be any role that doesn't exist today?
I don't think so, because boards have, so in my particular areas, you've got risk, you've got operations represented, you've got money and venture represented, strategy, all the main, and then you've got the sort of technology, which is all part of or the platform, whether it's a bank or not. All those need to be a better balance, I think. My observation is boards are unbalanced. Our board was unbalanced because majority was investor directors.
Yeah.
And that's another consequence of venture funding. And same with Currency Cloud, the previous one, there's too many investor directors. We've now addressed that in Railsr. We've got MasterCard's former chairman as our chairman, and another NED from actually distressed debt markets. But I think in our industry, there's a rebalancing of the board rather than some disappearing. I don't think automation is going to make the chief people officer disappear.
My last question, it's a good one. I'm very into wine, so sorry if you don't drink, but I know Nigel does, and I'm really into wine, and I know you're really into wine. So what is the next milestone that you're going to really celebrate, like go big, for Railsr? And when you do, what bottle are you opening?
It will be it'll probably be a Barolo, because I love the village. It's 2.5 hours drive from where I live.
Which year?
Which year? It'll be 2015.
Nice.
On that. Carrie should say, Carrie's actually a qualified wine person and taster. I'm a consumer.
Milestone?
Milestone will be, I think it's getting through these terrible markets that we exist in at the moment.
Okay.
It's a brutal world in these markets. I don't think we've seen the end of these markets, and we will getting through that to when we start seeing growth come back in equity markets recovering, credit markets are actually going down, and when they start recovering, that's when it'll be.
Well, if we're lucky enough to meet here again, then there will be a 2015 Barolo by our side. Thank you very much, Nigel. You're a legend.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.